Hey, it's 2022. Nick Castellanos, I thank you for coming on, dude. I've loved you as a baseball player. So did Sean. Sean was pissed off when you left the Cubs, or he was mad at the organization. But I knew you were a hometown Miami kid, and then obviously your relationship with Doug came to blossom, and then I got to meet you, and we had dinner about a month and a half ago, and shout out to Cushman.
Yeah, Cushman School.
Cushman School. I know Doug and you went to school there.
So yeah, the reason why I'm doing this podcast, because I get asked to do these things all the time, and I just say no. But obviously Doug and I have formed our relationship, and our relationship is because we were both graduates of the Cushman School, and Liam was in Danny's kindergarten class, and here we are.
You told me something that caught my attention, and you said, you have to start breeding winners when kids are little and young. And I thought about that night more than ever. And the reason why I thought about that was because you're 1,000% correct when you say that. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so describe to me when you define winning for a child, when you define winning in life, what is that?
That's a deep question, bro.
Yeah.
It's probably also hard to answer without getting emotional. What does it mean to you, winning?
Winning to me has evolved in life. Winning to me is smiling, having a pure heart. Winning to me is going home to a beautiful wife and to two healthy children that I love above anything in the world. And winning to me has become that it's not about me. And I learned that. That's the one thing that I thought sports taught me, Nick, where this whole game of life it's not about you. I think we're all instruments being used by God. And the one thing I learned in sports was that nobody's ever bigger than the program, right? And I also think that means like playing for the guy next to you. Deion Sanders said something today that really caught my attention. And I love that guy. And I think he's doing an amazing job at Jackson State University. And he's really going to influence kids to become winners in life. He says, sometimes it's easy to quit on yourself. But when you start doing something for somebody you love more than anybody in the world, quitting becomes that much harder.
No doubt.
And
but how many people love themselves like that? Like, how many people quit on themselves all the time?
A lot.
Like in anything that they do. And like it's and like everything that we're saying on this podcast and everything it can be 100% verbally correct, but it doesn't mean shit if it's not executed and followed through when this podcast is over. You know what I'm saying? Like, educated vocabulary could be one of the most dangerous things on the planet.
I agree.
It's
like it's execution, right? And I agree, because it's like faith, right? You can walk in Sundays to church and hear the sermon you want to hear, but if you don't go live the life that you're being told to live, right? Just be a good dude, then what does it really matter?
correct.
What does it matter? What does it matter if you just talk about...
And do you need the sermon to tell you that? Or is that really your heart by itself? You know what I'm saying? Because then do you need the teacher to tell you what's right and wrong? Or are you capable with instinctually knowing that. Just like the soccer instincts you said your kid had running. Like, are you doing it because you feel that a parent is looking over your shoulder? Or are you doing it because that's your genuine response to your environment? Two different things.
I agree. I'm with you. And talking about execution and winning in life, they collaborate, right? I mean, you can talk about like when you're getting prepared for a baseball game, right?
Right.
And you're going through your preparation, through your routine. There's an execution plan. There's you have to. It's action, right? It's doing what you say you're going to do, and it's what's driving you, and it's what's taking you to the highest levels of the best version of yourself.
Correct.
And that's one of the things I love about you too, is that I think you use the word simplicity, and another thing you told me that really caught my attention was like, Fernie, I'm trying to keep my life simple. Like, I want to go home to my wife. I want to go home to my kids.
Yeah.
I have a flip-flop phone.
Flip phone. Flip-flop? You said flip-flop?
Yeah. I have a flip. No, and I love that because you're a guy that can be walking around New York City and have massive attention. And I think there's a part of you, as from an outside looking in, I think that you would give that attention to kids. I can see you at the stadium really signing that autograph for that kid, because it means to.
But the kid is acting authentic. The soul is authentic on the kid. Like, there's no ulterior motive on the kid who's not looking for anything other than this, like, moment, in time. That's why it's so easy for me to do that, But the simplicity thing, who taught me that? Leonardo da Vinci. Because I was walking around Rome and Florence with Jess, and I started reading all these quotes of these minds that, like, we idolize. And he said, simplicity is the greatest sophistication. And, like, that, like, I spent a lot of time thinking about that, and recognizing it and then applying it. And I don't know, like, I think it's true.
And I love that because I'm sitting in front of a guy that can probably have whatever he wants.
Define what you want, though.
I'm just saying. And yet, you're actually running from that. And you're actually like, you have what you want.
Yes.
And that's what I love. And that's what I saw in you. And that, because I think like that. And I feel like there's a part of me that thinks there's this 6'3" amazing athlete who's not only doing things for himself, but doing things for other people. I think you've blessed a lot of people along the way. And I think you were blessed along the way. So let's talk about Nick the Kid.
Sure. It's my favorite.
So I'm going to tell you something that you're the reason why I started this podcast, and Johnny knows this story, was when I stopped playing baseball, Nick.
Ooh, shit.
I lost. I went through some really bad anxiety and depression.
Of course, but so many people do.
But I didn't know what that was.
Well,
Right?
you weren't probably aware of what was happening.
I wasn't aware. But the one thing that I stopped doing was I lost my smile.
Well, people usually lose that way before their childhood's over.
And then I would look at like pictures of me playing and like me hanging out, and I would cry and I would say, "Where's that smile?" And my wife would grab my hand and say that I would say, "Where's that guy? Like, where did that guy go?" And she's like, "No, he's right here. That guy hasn't gone nowhere." And
that sounds like a good wife, though.
she's my angel. She's You're gonna break me, man.
But that's what's true, bro. You know, like Jessica is mine. You know, I had to break a big cycle of repeated behavior. You know, but like breaking behavioral habits, like really breaking behavioral habits, that is hard, and that takes like real commitment, discipline, like imagination, right? Because if you to want something, then that like your ingrained subconscious behavior is not geared towards what you desire. No matter how much you desire, you're never gonna get it, right? The rewiring process, bro. That is a motherfucker.
I lived it.
That's a motherfucker.
I lived it, and now that you mention that, I rewire my brain every day, and how I did that was I had to do the toughest thing I ever had it in my life. So going back to what I said was I lost a smile, and the reason why was because I didn't realize that I loved baseball, but I was really running to a safe place more than anything that I was doing in my life. I loved the game. Don't misunderstand.
But it was an escape.
But that was my chapel. That was like my safe. Like I'm good here.
Yeah.
Like if I'm here, I'm with my boys.
But that's, you know why? Because you didn't have to think about anything. You didn't have to think about anything, and every single one of your actions was authentic, was pure, was for a greater good, right? But being an adult is the opposite of that. Being an adult is the opposite. It's how do I preserve this? How do I make this money? How do I give this experiences? How do I make it? And unfortunately, most people think making it is what they see on social media, you know, or a bank account. And the pyramid is upside down. You know?
I do.
So but that's why, you know, baseball was an escape because you didn't have to think about anything. You could just do.
And for me, it was the healthiest environment I had.
How was your home environment?
It wasn't good.
Your parents are married still?
My parents got divorced when I was 5 years old.
5? What kind of relationship did they have?
Probably not a good one.
No? Do you ask questions? Like, do you pry? Because
I
unfortunately...
I went through that. I had to, well, that was a part of the thing where I had to, when I was done playing baseball, and I called, you know, when the rug's pulled from underneath your feet, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, like I got nowhere to now I can't pivot, right? Like even though I had, you know, I went to school and I had my degree and I had the educated vocabulary, I still had to live this life and be here, right? And I've said this many times, like first 2 days I was good. Third day I picked up a bat. Fourth day I picked up a bat again. I waited for my dad to leave the house. I started bursting in tears because I'm like, I don't gotta lift, I don't gotta run, I don't gotta like what am I gonna do? And that's when all this thing happened. But what I'm trying to say is that I had to build boundaries.
How'd you do it?
Through a fucking painful process of crying, of learning to love myself and appreciate who I am, and to understand that just because other people aren't healthy in their life doesn't mean that I need to fall into their trap or their behaviors and their moral compass isn't where mine is. That even though they were a family or even though that they were people,
becoming more secure.
I had to become me, and I wanted to. And I started to imagine the life that I wanted. I've always said your thoughts become the outcome of your life.
Well,
I
100%.
truly 100% believe that.
Well,
everything I have in my life.
But everything ever is from a thought, right? Like this microphone started as an idea because somebody thought of it. And then it was through execution, discipline, preparation, and trial by failure that, look at this.
Well, I believe that failing is a part of the winning process.
Of course, well, it's not failing, it's learning. You know,
Correct.
you're learning
how to win.
And
how to develop, how to execute.
Correct.
Life.
All of it.
All of it.
You know, the goal is that your life becomes that field escape. There's nothing that you're running from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's a...
But I've got, like, I'm 41 now. So, like, I went through this.
You're 41?
Yeah. So I went through this journey. I look younger, right?
Well, I would say I thought you were in your 30s, you know?
Oh, that's why I pet on so much now.
Yeah. You look like you're in better shape than a lot of people I play with.
Thank you, man. No, so I went through this entire journey and process of really rewiring my brain, creating new habits, having a sense of awareness of my own feelings, not suppressing my feelings. Like, I remember as a kid, if I wanted to cry, as the older brother in my family, and because of the way that my family was kind of like not healthy, and because of different circumstances, you kind of you don't even realize what you're doing, but you just internalize it and like
no doubt,
you know, and then you internalize it.
And think about the millennia now with kids that are like our kids' age that never not knew what an iPhone was in front of their face at all times of the day, not having access to all the world's information at a moment's notice. Like, think about that wave that's coming, bro.
It's scary, and
hey, no, it's terrifying. The dependency level of people is unhealthy. As just as an organism.
We're not supposed to depend on so much, man. Life's very simple.
The most. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci said that. And then Michelangelo, what he said that I loved was like, if people saw how hard I worked, or I worked at my craft, they wouldn't consider me a genius at all. It's just that he's in that world of that sacrifice. And because he lived sacrificing, now we as, you know, members of the human race can appreciate that sacrifice. But there's simplicity in that too.
Nothing bad can come out of sacrifice, huh? Nothing bad comes out of sacrifice.
Well, unless you're sacrificing for the wrong things, you know.
But this is why this is I'm so excited about this, because technically you're like an artist as well, right? I mean, you're an athlete.
So
I think the best athletes operate, in my opinion, like when I watch MJ, like I love Jordan as a kid. You
remember what he put in the coffee can at the end of the show?
No.
What did Steve Kerr say that MJ put in the coffee can?
In the last dance?
Yeah, and then Last Dance, last episode.
I can't remember, Nick.
It's terrible. It's terrible. You know how much information, if you loved, you know how much homework he gave you right there? You know how many lessons? He put in a poem. Do you remember what Steve Kerr said about the emotional depth of Michael Jordan?
I don't know if I watched that last episode or if no.
Terrible, bro. Disappointed. Next.
Okay,
turn the page.
no, but
turn the page.
God, Nick, I'm gonna go back and watch it again.
Yeah,
it gets that deep.
I mean, if you think about it the way I do, you know, but all my friends also know that I'm an overthinker and an analyzer and whatever, and I don't mean to do that. It's just how it runs upstairs.
So going back, Nick the Kid.
Sure.
How was your childhood? What were you thinking?
A blast. Nothing,
right?
Happy-go-lucky, go with the flow. You know, my dad loved baseball because they came from Cuba, and, you know, my grandfather didn't sacrifice, you know, leaving that country to come over here to allow my father to just take a chance on a kid's game. He couldn't pursue it past high school, and he had to go be a doctor. You know?
That's cool.
And now, because he did that, he wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. But, you know, a part of me doesn't even know if this is what I wanted to do or I just like making my pops happy. You know what I'm saying? Because me being really good at baseball and going to all of these practices made him happy. Dad's happy, I'm happy, let's go. And then being better than everybody else was fun.
Pretty simple answer.
Right, so I kept doing it.
And then you build this amazing, but as a kid, you were having a blast playing the game, right?
I liked it, yeah.
You know, I will say this, and I'll confirm something for you. I do believe being a big leaguer is a calling. And I'm going to tell you why. And maybe I'm different. I may be looking at it from a different perspective. I play with a lot of guys that can play, Nick. I got to play. I played with a guy in junior college that was about your size, your fit, maybe even a little bigger. This guy hit the ball into no man's land. This guy had a cannon. This guy ran a 6'4", 60. His name was Bo Blanton. Okay.
Yeah.
And he
drop.
had,
Okay.
He had it all.
So Bo Blanton was a 5-tool athlete, 5-tool baseball player.
5-tool guy.
Yeah, but he was missing the most important one then. Right, but that probably. But now let's talk about Bo Blanton's life. Let's talk about his role models. Let's talk about his habits. Let's talk about his patience. Let's talk about his perception. Let's talk about the relationship that he has with his siblings. Let's talk about the relationship he has with his parents. We don't know why Bo Blanton doesn't have the 6th, but because he doesn't have the 6th, it's not his fault. Because no one is going to say, wait, I can have all of this self-awareness, and all I got to do is pick it up and put it in my pocket and say, I don't need it. No one's going to make a cognitive decision of not having the 6th tool. But have they been taught to know that they're in control of that tool is the question.
Well, he definitely lacked what educated vocabulary calls emotional intelligence, right? Because of off the field issues he went through.
There you go.
With substance abuse and stuff like that.
But you know,
and I say that respectfully. I haven't seen him. I mean, I if he's listening right now, I pray that his life ended up taking the right direction. But I've always said, if people ask me who's the most talented guy you ever played with, I'd say that guy who nobody knows.
Right,
right.
But a lot of them are. A lot of times those things are connected. You know, like look at Josh Hamilton. You know what I'm saying?
Josh Hamilton. I thought that guy.
I love Josh Hamilton too. He's probably
when he made his comeback. That to me was like
incredible.
The epitome. I mean, I cried watching him in Yankee Stadium in the home run derby. I as a guy sitting in my kitchen watching it, I had tears in my eyes because to watch. You know, I read his book, and that guy said I was in center field and I saw demons. He literally said I saw demons around me. And you can't you just don't say things like that. Yeah. Like
no, you
that's
don't.
called having an intuition and having a. You know how we all have a kind of a veil. His veil is less, and he can actually see beyond into the next realm.
Well,
he meant that.
But hold on, but look how talented he is. One, one doesn't come. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's connected, bro. The reason why he was one of the most talented human beings, and he was able to just do things at the level that he was doing without thinking about shit, is the same reason when things are introduced into that equation that can be destructive. You know, a lot of times it goes off the rails. Look at the greatest athletes that come from issues in other sports, you know. And again, like it's hard to blame. Well, you know, Josh Hamilton. I think what I've heard about him was that he grew up like very naive and like North Carolina or something on a farm.
Was a regular good family from what I understood. And
you think he could have been sheltered? Like in the book, did it talk about him being sheltered?
It just talked about him somewhat being sheltered to an extent.
And then going into the big league life.
And then so much, you know, and again, if we all go back, like, let's not take it too far. And I say this again with the utmost respect. Like, Britney Spears is arguably one of the best entertainers of our lifetime as kids. And Britney is like...
Did you like the way she looks, too?
she was...
Did you see that movie Crossroads?
No.
No?
No.
That Britney Spears movie?
No, I haven't. No, but as a young dude, she was hot, right? Like Britney was like it. But think about her as the example of a girl who grew up in like at 15. She, you know, it was just maybe it was too much.
You think?
No.
You think? Like
no,
you,
like I
you
don't
said maybe?
Yeah.
You know? Hey, did you see the Serena Williams and Venus Williams movie?
I did.
What do you think about that?
I watched that movie and I teared up in many instances, and I.
Hey, so you're a big crier, huh?
I am. Well, thank you to my wife, because I never cried.
So she slowed you down.
She taught me how to cry.
Well, I think she didn't teach you how to cry. I think she probably just
She taught me how to cry. A lot of other things in my life taught me how to cry. Being in tune with myself, becoming a more grateful person taught me how to cry.
Yeah.
But what the one thing, man, the one thing that I questioned when I watched the movie, right? The father, I thought, had a good intention.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew.
Hey, he's either a genius or a sociopath. There's no in between.
Yeah.
If Albert Einstein didn't discover the theory of relativity, he's a nutcase. You know what I'm saying? Like, they walk a fine line, my dude.
They do.
They walk a fine line.
You know, Joe Rogan said today, I was listening to something when I was getting my lift in, and he said, insanity and greatness almost live in the same.
They're next to each other. They're neighbors, bro.
They're neighbors.
Anything that is an extreme is neighbors. Because the funnel is very top up there.
So let me ask you a question. With as good of a damn baseball player you are, and
well, I have a lot of work to do still, bro.
You do.
I feel like
you do, and I think you're in your prime as a fan, as a guy who just loves to watch a game of baseball and sit down. There's no doubt, but I think you're heading in the right direction.
Thank you.
And I definitely think that what's going to get you there is your mindset. I think physically you're only going to get better.
Well, right now as I sit talking to you is the best my body has ever felt. But that's also because I'm learning my body more than I've ever have. You know what I'm saying? Because I care. You know? And like my muscle memory, and for me to just play baseball is only going to be good as my body allows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
you've done you've done so. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of reps, and I can only imagine the brain and how like when you talk about your muscle memory, how you just do it over. That swing is over and over and over again. That I can only see the upside in you physically happening, and with you becoming more in tune with your body, and like you said, knowing your body, which I think every tremendous athlete at some point always talks about. It's like I know my body, I know where it needs to be, I know how to heal it, I know when to push it, I know when not to. Which is that can be a whole different podcast, because I can only imagine what you have to put yourself through, but from a mindset perspective,
okay.
A part of me thinks you saw yourself here one day.
Yes.
Because I believe that your thoughts become the outcomes of your life. If I was to ask you something, because we're all, like, I'm in a very unique place in my life today. And I have been there for the last year and a half. I will tell you that through hard work, discipline, character, rewiring of my brain, intentionally, daily, working on it daily, but also learning to be at peace with what is.
That's a hard balance.
But it's something that I've worked on and been intentional with somebody that I have somebody that I work with.
You have a therapist?
I have a mental strength coach, yeah.
Nice.
I do.
Nice.
He actually works with baseball guys still, and he works with corporate CEOs, and yeah, because I wanted to take my game to another level. And I knew it was all here.
Yes.
Right? As an athlete, I was a talented guy. I could run. I mean, I wasn't as talented.
Were you a
nowhere near-
snapper? You look like a snapper. You look like the kind of guy who, like, you know, first at bat, you hit a line shot right to the shortstop. All right, you're going to swallow that. You did good, whatever. Next at bat, you hit a ground ball up the middle. Shortstop makes a great play, turn, gets you out 0 for 2. Third at bat, you get punched out on a borderline call, and you're walking back to the dugout. Do you slam your helmet?
I probably wouldn't have that slam. I did it once or twice, but I didn't give myself the grace. I was too caught up on my physical game. I thought it was always the physicality of it.
Did you release your frustration through
I relieved my
snapping?
frustrations by
Yelling?
fuck.
You were a yeller?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I try to like never like do it in front of people, but like, or in the gym.
Would your teammates think that you're nuts? Is what I'm trying to get at.
They would
Like,
think
I don't know you as a. I
They
don't know
would
you as
think
a
I'm
teammate.
different. Yeah, like I had one occasion in Kansas where I lost my shit.
Okay, and what does losing your shit entail? Because I've had a
biggest-
lot of teammates, and I know there's different levels of losing their shit. I've seen all of them.
Well, back then I wasn't smart enough to realize that if you actually felt something, you should talk to the coach about. Like, hey, I'm not understanding this. Can we have a conversation? No, it was internalized. And one day it got so fucking ugly, I threw a bat at the coach, and I tried to fight him.
Yeah, so you have explosive anger then.
Back then, I held it. I wouldn't say I'm an explosive person now.
No, now I'm talking about when you played. I'm talking about if you were my teammate and you just did that.
Yeah. And I played for the guys next to me. That was my pride. Like, I was the type of guy that if there's a fucking play at the plate and it's close, it's going to be a fucking bang. It's going to be a collision. But I always, not to hurt nobody.
And you get suspended for that now.
I know.
This
The game is
committee-
changed. We won't talk about
baseball
that.
now, you get
I was
suspended for
defending
that.
you. We can talk about that. Yeah. I played the game. Okay, you know what? I'm always been a passionate fucking guy. Anything I do with passion. I don't know how to do anything that's not authentic. I don't know how to. I can't. I do what I do because I believe in it, and if I don't believe in it, I'm just not the guy who can fucking put on the Oscar. Like I can't. God didn't give me that gift. Like I don't have it.
I have that.
I have to
that
have
ability.
passion for what I do.
Now with the way that I live my life, yes. But I went through a phase where,
Yeah.
I put on the mask.
And I think we've all gone through that in different phases. But I want to ask you one thing, because you're at the highest. It doesn't get any. Where you're living right now. Here's what I'm going to tell you. As a guy who's been a part of 3 guys building an amazing, successful business, there is no job in the world out there, for the most part. There's some crazy exceptions that will pay you the amount of money that you make, that will put on the intense amounts of pressure that brings because of the decisions that you have to make. We are in a place where financially we've taken ourselves to another level. That's the reality.
What does that mean? But what does that mean, though?
It's what I mean by that is we're making decisions we never had to make before, right?
Okay, I understand what you're
Does that
saying
make
now.
sense?
Yeah.
It's not about the money. It's just
Our responsibilities,
it's our responsibilities,
branch
to
out.
much is given,
Yeah.
much is expected, right?
Right, Spider-Man, bro.
But with all that, I will tell you, man, I never knew how lonely success can be.
Yeah, bro.
And
For
I have
real.
a dear friend
But
of mine.
that's
I have
why-
a dear friend of mine who played in the big leagues for about 10 years, and I sat on his boat, and this guy's story is amazing. He was a closer. And I'll say his name. His name is Danny Baez. And Danny's and I were sitting in his boat one time, and he looked at me, and he knew we were talking about insurance and what we want to do with the company, and he came in here, and to make a long story short, he believed in me as a friend. And he told me,
Doesn't that feel good, by the way?
yeah, man.
When people, give you the benefit of the doubt, and, give you that trust, especially when you feel like you might not be deserving of it.
Well, that was one problem. I didn't even realize it. Back then I didn't think I don't even I can't do that. That's not. like you almost don't think like you deserve it, right? You kind of almost self-sabotage yourself, right? Because of your thinking and whatnot.
Yes. Doug's here. Is there a camera on Doug?
No. Not happening.
Bro, come on, man.
This has been, but going back, it would only be my assumption, and I hope I'm wrong, that you have achieved all this, right? And let's not define that or this, but it is what it is. You're at a high level. You're at the highest levels that 99.9 of the people will never, ever.
Okay. Can I say something?
Go ahead.
That 99.9, you're right about that. But once you're at that 99.9, right? Let's just say 99. That whole percent, that is there's so much room for growth in that 1% that most people wouldn't even think that, like, well, 99 and 100 is the same thing. Yo, when you become obsessed with something, like, you notice everything. So, like, it's that, like, I can't even really relate to the conversation, because when you say I'm at a high level, in my head, I'm like, I'm getting started. Like, I'm learning how to run right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to answer the question with where it's going.
No, and I understand that. And we talk about this, DJ, right? Don't we also, what do we say? We're just getting started. Like, we don't even,
You never make it. You never make it.
Well, my wife always says, babe, there's no finish line.
The grave.
Correct.
You know, but then with
Don't go there with Fernie.
with what you leave behind you,
Correct.
you know,
Your
continues your
legacy.
legacy, the people you influence, right? Like the direction of how you've changed people and influenced people in your life, like, that goes beyond your grave, you know. But, like, you never.
What drives you?
It's a good question, bro. I don't know.
There's something that drives you. Right?
I know, bro. I know. I don't know.
There's something that's really driving you. And I'm the same way. I get it. I feel you. I don't know either, but I know that.
You know you're going to know when you know.
Correct.
You know you're going to know when you know.
Same thing. I have no fucking idea.
I don't know.
But there's something. I have a big ass chip on my shoulder. I just don't know what it is. I know.
You know, but also look, like, I tear up when I talk about this stuff, because this is.
I think you're in love with life, and I think you're in love with becoming the best version of you, and that's
I'm
what
learning
I think.
that. I'm on that road, bro. You know, but, like, I'm not arrogant enough to say that, like, I made it. Like, I made it into this room. You know, like, I will never do that, because, you know, like, you just
keep going.
You just keep going.
And you keep learning. And you keep,
Every day,
and
bro.
you try to get better.
Every day.
And I know this guy well enough that he's a baseball player, but that doesn't define him. Like, to me, that's why we become good friends. Like, I know nothing about baseball, but for some reason we connect on, like, a million different levels. But it's not about baseball, and it's not about insurance. It's about all this other shit. It's about our kids and art and our wives and our dogs and traveling and camping. And it has nothing to do with baseball or insurance.
But all those things are just as important as baseball.
I think.
Do you understand that?
No
That's
doubt.
really important, because
There's-
that's a lot. Like, that's still, you know, a part where I'm building and prioritizing and creating. You know, it's easy for me to just be all fucking in on every practice and every swing, and, like, because I see instant gratification. You know, even though I live simplicity, like, I'm not stupid. I know the dollar figures that are going to become available, and the resources, and just, like, the things that I'm climbing. I'm not naive to that either, you know. But prioritizing, like, feeding your dog in the morning, and, like, doing things, like, in the morning for your kid, like, before he wakes up, or your wife, like, making that as important as baseball, that's the hard part.
That's work.
It's cut until it becomes muscle memory, until you've fallen in love with doing it.
That's true. And I admire that from you, because at such a young age, and again, playing Major League Baseball and having the demand that exists, right, of just having to play 162 games, right, 160 games a year, and like having to travel, and like there's as much as you want to balance yourself and be there, sometimes the game that you're playing right now doesn't allow you to do that, and I think we all go through that. But what I do from the outside looking in, and when we talk about driving us, is like, I think everybody in this room is just in love with life. I think we love this life so much and this gift, and I feel like we see things from a different perspective and from a different and I don't know, man, like lately I just feel like even when you're watching Little League baseball kids, right, like I feel like I'm watching a different game. I feel like I'm watching kids develop themselves to create good habits, hopefully that they learn from a sport can teach them like character and be a good teammate and anticipate and learn to anticipate. You have to anticipate in life, right? Not be naive. Like
I struggle with that.
You can get hit by a baseball.
Doug could attest. I struggle with that. But I see the good in everybody, bro.
Well, you know what? Doug will say that.
That's why you need good people around you.
Agreed.
My circle is
Small.
no. And Fernie will tell you too, like a lot of times that's not your family.
Well, that's
And you only need a couple people, but if I know I can call you or I can call him in a moment where I feel like vulnerable or I'm making a mistake or somebody's done me wrong, like you need that. You need those few people to rely on.
I think people sometimes forget how powerful
what family and loving thy neighbor is. It's actually pretty simple if you think about it, my dude.
Well, I was going to use the word like, I think people forget how important it is to just say I love you sometimes, bro. Give somebody a hug, dude.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I think, Nick, I'm going to end it with this because we can be here all day.
Oh, the podcast is over?
It's ending now, I guess. But here's what I'll say. Fear is the biggest killer of man. And we all have the little man voice. There's always that little guy that's talking to you and creating a little doubt or whatever it may be. And as long as you know how to control that little voice and you definitely don't allow other people's little man to affect you, that's how you start becoming on track into becoming the best version of yourself. Because we're not competing against nobody. You're not trying to compete against another baseball player or whatever it is. You're just trying to become the best Nick.
Well, yes,
right?
but to say that I'm not taking notes of what other people are doing in the game and like wanting to be better than them. Of course I want to be better than them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to be better. I want to be better than everybody, obviously.
But I'm just saying as Nick, the person, like the internal part of Nick.
It's impossible for me to be a better person than somebody else. I don't think there's
correct.
Really, I think that's a very arrogant. I'm a better person than you. I don't, like a baseball player, like, my competitor, can allow me to say I want to be a better baseball player, but I ain't never gonna say I'm better than nobody else.
Correct. But I can't wait to just keep watching you play and develop, man. I really appreciate you coming on, dude.
Thank you, bro. For sure.
Thank you so much.
Where he's going.
No, I wasn't gonna ask. I was gonna take it back, but
the answer would be I have no idea where I'm going. that would be the honest answer. We're in a lockout. If you want to talk about the lockout,
this is really good. Yeah, it was good. It was really good.